What's up everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome to a Giant Monsters event. In Giant Monsters, the big draw of the format is that whenever you cast a creature with a mana cost of 4 or greater, you draw a card. There's also a small ban list. Nexus of Fate is banned, but that's already banned in best of 1 matches, just like usual. And Narset is also banned. So Narset is a planeswalker that says if a player would draw more than 1 card per turn, they don't draw any of the extra cards. They only draw the first one each turn. So Narset would pretty much shut off this Giant Monsters emblem, so she is banned in this format. So if you hate Narset, you might as well try out the format, and if you like Giant Monsters, I definitely try it out as well. So the deck that I'm playing today is another Gates style deck because, God, I just love Guildgate decks in Standard so much. I have loved them since Ravnica Allegiance came out and gave us our good boy, the Gate Colossus. So yeah, Gate-style decks are decks that use stuff like Circuitous Route and Growth Spiral to ramp up as many gates out onto the battlefield as fast as possible, so that they just have a whole bunch of mana and a bunch of gates available to make cards like Gates Ablaze, an Archway Angel stronger, and make stuff like Gate Colossus cheaper. So the way that Gates decks have gone lately is because they're already a deck that is a super land-based deck that's getting a bunch of lands onto the battlefield very quickly, and a bunch of different lands, because there's all these different guild gates and you're a whole bunch of different colors. The way that they've gone recently is Field of the Dead as an alternate late-game win condition. Because this land says, whenever another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So this card's really cool, because if you're just naturally ramping up and have a bunch of different lands out, once you get late in the game, you just have uncounterable 2/2s, because you're just getting 2/2s by playing lands. So that's very cool. And then obviously the combo that these decks have been running is Scapeshift grabbing Field of the Dead. So that's why the decks have started getting called Gateshift instead of just, gate ramp decks. So yeah, Scapeshift plus Field of the Dead means with Scapeshift you sacrifice any number of lands, ideally 7 or 8, and then search your library for that many lands and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So you get to search for any lands, does not have to be basic. So if you have any 7 lands on the battlefield, you can search for 1 copy of Field of the Dead and 1 copy of 6 other lands and create 7 2/2 zombies right then. Since all the lands will enter the battlefield at the same time, Field of the Dead will trigger for every single land. So even better if you have 8 lands when you cast your Scapeshift, grab both your Field of the Deads and 6 other named lands, and you can just immediately get twice as many triggers, so that's 8 times 2, get 16 zombies right off the bat. So yeah, very similar deck to the one that I ran last time. The big difference is that instead of running, I forget what it's called, Guild Summit. Instead of running Guild Summit to draw cards, we're just going to cast these large creatures to draw some extra cards in the late game. And we also still have the Risen Reef just as a ramp spell instead of being another large creature to draw more cards. We just have Risen Reef as a small creature to hopefully get some more lands in the early game. And it also combos really well with the Cavalier, but that is the only creature that we're running that is not converted mana cost 4 or greater for drawing cards off of the Giant Emblem. So let's hop into this event and see how far we can go with Giant Gateshift. I'm very excited. Anytime that I can play Gates decks is a good time. I just really like ramp decks, and I feel like this is the coolest ramp deck that we've had in Standard in a long time. Probably since way back in Zendikar when we had the original Eldrazi, there were some fun ramp decks you could try to do back then. Alright. This hand is very nice. We have turn 1 Guildgate into turn 2 Breeding Pool to Growth Spiral on turn 2. So we can just start ramping out really fast here. Especially if we draw some lands. If we don't draw some lands, we are going to be stuck on 3 mana here, which isn't the greatest, but we do have a Gates Ablaze that will be able to deal 2 damage to all their creatures, so at least clear out that Llanowar Elves. and hopefully something else as well. So it looks like we're against a Gruul aggro deck.
Just call me Scrub. I was raised by wolves.
Here comes Domri, spitting out probably another Land of Elves. Nope, just adding a counter onto Domri there. Here is Breeding Pool. We will pay 2 to cast Growth Spiral. And drop a Guildgate. Unfortunately did not draw a 4th land, so it's possible we won't be able to play a land next turn. We're definitely hoping to. So we'll have to see what we draw here.
Can only punish you if they catch you.
Domri's ramping him up. They're going to have some giant monsters real fast here. So yep, there's the first giant monster, drawing a card, giving it haste, bashing me for 5. Definitely pretty threatening. We did not draw a land, which is a very, very bad sign. We can cast a Gates Ablaze to kill that Land of Elves, or we can cast a Risen Reef and really hope we've got a land on top. I think I have to just cast the Risen Reef. If I don't have a land on top, there's basically absolutely no way I'm going to win this game anyway, so I have to play assuming I've got a land on top and cast this Risen Reef out here. And it is not a land, so that is very likely to just be game here. We definitely needed to hit our lands on curve to be able to cast this Archway Angel. This is another reason, with this ramp deck, because we play so many cards to search for lands, and so many cards that like having lands enter the battlefield, we do run 28 lands in this deck, which is slightly under 50% of the deck is lands. So yeah, because it is the kind of deck that we definitely hope at this point that we've drawn, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've drawn 13 cards. We definitely want to have drawn at least 6 lands at this point, but we've only drawn 4. Well, let's see if we can make the best of it. I don't think there's anything I can do here to survive, because the Skargan Hellkite, can only use the ability if it has a counter on it. So I could technically survive if they don't have anything else with haste. So we play the Guildgate, and we just kill these creatures and hope they have no other damage other than that Hellkite right there, and then we could survive. Unfortunately, there is the GG from our opponents, so here comes another Riot creature to finish it off. Alright, I was going to say, Land of Elves does not have haste. It is not a Riot creature. It's maybe a preemptive GG here. Alright, unfortunately, it is still going to be game. Because Breeding Pool is going to cost us 2 life to play, we cannot get our Reach creature onto the field to save us from this Hellkite. Is there anything I could possibly have here? If I hit the land that gains some life? No, even if I do that, then I won't have the mana left over to play the Cavalier. So I think there's no lineup of draws here where I survive. Well, Growth Spiral anyway. There is Gates Ablaze. That only does 3 damage right now, though, and I don't have the mana to play it. So that is going to be game. Alright. Just missed a few very relevant land drops. Did not get off the floor running quite fast enough, especially against an aggressive Gruul strategy like that. Alright, let's head into the next round. I don't know if anybody else is having this issue, but whenever I'm in an event, I always have to hop out and hop back in to be able to hit the play button. Otherwise, it's always like faded out. It's kind of weird. Just another one of those weird things that happens. We are still in beta. I think that they are planning on having the full launch sometime within the year. I don't have any official confirmation on that. I think I heard it somewhere that they're planning on getting out of beta by the end of the year. Alright. This hand is definitely not great. We do have a Gates Ablaze with 3 gates to slow our opponent down. We also have 3 gates, so this Gate Colossus technically only costs 5 at most. Yeah, all I need is a blue source, and I do have a lot of them in this deck. I do not have the deck list on me right now to look at immediately. I will have it in the description. But I think we have a lot of blue sources. That is definitely something that, if I were a better player, I should probably just keep the deck list beside me, like on a sheet of paper, or have a 2-monitor setup, but that's too rich for my blood right now. I'm on that 1 laptop monitor setup, playing full screen currently. Alright, so we did get the blue source last turn, which is very nice. Cast this Risen Reef out there, plus... Oh, wow. So now we get to, if they don't have any removal soon, we get to Risen Reef into Risen Reef, which the abilities stack because they work whenever we play any elemental. So we get to play Risen Reef into Risen Reef and get double value into Cavalier of Thorns and get 2 triggers off that as well, because that's also an elemental. So this should be very nice. Look at that. Let's go. That's 6 lands out, I think, on turn 4. So that's very sweet. And we're getting very close to having 7 different land names out. We currently have 5 with a 6th in hand, this Boros Guildgate. So after we play the Boros Guildgate, the second we hit any other named land, we get to start making 2/2s. Alright, Cavalier of Night. Sack a creature, destroy one of my Risen Reefs. That definitely seems fair. These Risen Reefs have been a little ridiculous. So I'm going to play Boros Guildgate and Cavalier of Thorns and make sure to hit a land with a different name from what I currently have out. So Cavalier of Thorns first. We've got a Breeding Pool. I do have one of those out. Izzet Guildgate. I have none of those out right now, and I do have a Simic. So we got to pick the Izzet Guildgate. That's the only one I don't currently have. And bam, get a 2/2 zombie. Oh, and we got the second Field of the Dead off the top from the Risen Reef trigger. That's a little ridiculous. That seems pretty fair. We're also getting to a point we have almost enough gates out to cast our Gate Colossuses for free. That's just a free 8/8 that also lets us draw a card when we cast it. That should be very nice. We do not run basic lands in this deck, so we will decline that. And when this dies, I can return something from my grave to my hand. I'm not going to do that, though, because if I do that, I exile the Cavalier from the grave. I'd rather keep him in the grave. That way, if I draw another Cavalier, I can get back the first one. So yeah, I don't have anything that good in my graveyard that I want to exile it. Alright. Next turn is going to be pretty massive. We can cast a Circuitous Route to grab 2 more Guildgates, which is going to give us 4 more zombies for 2 zombies per land entering the battlefield, and it'll make our Gate Colossi cost 1 mana total. So we can just play large stuff next turn if we want. We also have enough mana to play Golos and Circuitous Route, just get 3 gates and cast the Colossi for free. Alright. So whenever one of their creatures dies, they lose a life and draw a card. So I will make sure one of those dies, and I'll chump the other one, because I'm getting kind of low on life total. I do want to just get rid of that Ceratops, so I don't have to worry about that later. They do get to draw a card, but we're in a format where everyone gets to draw all kinds of cards. So let's cast Circuitous Route, grab some Guildgates. Bam. 4 zombies. We'll cast Golos, grab another Guildgate. That'll be 2 more zombies. And then our Gate Colossi will be completely free to cast. So that'll be super nice. So just grab any Guildgate at this point. We have so many lands. Bam bam, zombie zombie. Free Colossi. And we'll see if they have a Wrath. Just something that destroys all creatures, because if they don't, this field is pretty beautiful. There's the scoop. Looks like no Wrath of God from our opponent. So 1 loss and 1 win. Definitely kind of the polar opposite games there. First game just did not get a lot of lands out very quickly. In the second game, we had 6 lands on turn 4. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Alright, game 3, round 3. See how far we can make it with our Gateshift. Alright, we have pretty decent hand. There's no green in this, which is pretty worrying, but we do have a Teferi to draw another card on turn 3. Should be able to hit green mana pretty quickly. I think the number 1 most represented color of mana in this deck, I think, is green, followed by blue. Alright, Healer of the Glade turn 1 for our opponent. Makes me expect they're probably playing some kind of an elemental deck. Mono green so far. They could be on a mono green stompy deck. Just a bunch of big green monsters. There is our green mana, so that's pretty perfect. We can cast our Risen Reef on turn 3 if we want to, which might be the case, because if they play something pretty scary, Teferi's just going to die immediately, because Teferi does have to -3 to return a creature to its hand, so he'll just die to the healer. Looks like they're just going to mirror image the Leafkin Druid here, so they're going to have a lot of mana very quickly. The second they've played one more creature, they will have those Leafkin Druids tapping for 2 green mana. I'm going to go ahead and play Risen Reef here. There's nothing I really need to bounce with Teferi, so I'm just going to try to hit some lands, and we do hit one. Toss that into play tapped. Pass the turn. Jade Light Ranger, alright, exploring. Get a land. And a Tameo. Alright. So they are blue-green. I think here I just want to play as many gates as possible, make the Colossus cheaper. So play a Circuitous Route, grab some gates that we don't currently have. So we have Boros, Izzet, Rakdos, Gruul. So I'm going to grab gates that aren't those. Boros, Izzet, Rakdos, Gruul. We don't have Selesnya, don't have Azorius. We'll just pick those up. So again, just searching for ones with different names from the ones that we currently have. To have as many differently named lands as possible. That way if we draw a Field of the Dead, it can immediately start making some 2/2 zombies. Alright, here comes a lot of mana. Probably a Hydroid Krasis here, I'd assume. Some kind of X-mana spell for sure. Yep, Hydroid Krasis. Gain a bunch of life, draw a bunch of cards. Then gain 3, draw 3, and have a 7/7 Flying Trample out. Seems pretty good. No blocks here, we're going to go to 11. Alright. Definitely need to draw into something good here. I don't like letting them recast Hydroid Krasis, but I don't have many other options, because my hand's pretty much just lands. So I really have to draw a card here.
If you show remorse, I'll show restraint.
And not take 7 damage next turn. Cavalier of Thorns is basically perfect. We'll play the Plaza of Harmony because it's untapped, so we can cast the Cavalier, bam, draw a card with the emblem, pick up a land with the Cavalier. Unfortunately, no... Unfortunately, no Field of the Dead. I think at that point I should have... I should have just grabbed the gate, because I think I have... Yeah, I definitely have 7 different land names now, so I should have just grabbed the gate to make cards like Gates Ablaze do more damage and make our Gate Colossus cheaper. So a little bit of a misplay there with the land I picked up. I just kind of defaulted to grabbing Stomping Ground because it was a land I didn't currently have on the field. Should have just grabbed the gate. So we'll try to protect Teferi here. It looks like it might work out. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gates. We can play one more gate next turn. So if this Hydroid Krasis ends up being a 6/6 or less, we'll be okay, but it looks like it is going to be a 7/7 again. So we will have to play 2 gates in 1 turn somehow if I want to just get rid of it with a Gates Ablaze. Yeah, it looks like picking up the wrong land here actually might be a real big problem. Also, just the fact that Hydroid Krasis is going to draw them so many cards in the first place is not great for us. Because even if we did manage to Gates Ablaze their entire field, they'd have a whole bunch of backup cards to cast here. Scapeshift. Scapeshift is kind of the only hope. So here's a good thing to bring up. So I think I am going to Scapeshift at the end of their turn. So I'm going to play a land here. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 6 gates now. So I could just kill everything, but I think I'm just going to use this to block the Krasis. Play Gate Colossus. Alright, so since we're in a situation where... Oh, wow, that's actually just perfect. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can make 10 times 2. I can make 22 2s. Yeah, okay. So we're going to +1 Teferi, because we're going to cast Scapeshift at the end of their turn. Well, it might be better to just cast it now. I feel like we want to cast it at the end of their turn, though, because it doesn't seem like they're the kind of deck that's going to be running a lot of counters. We'll see. I think they'll just tap out to play Hydroid Krasis again.
This isn't a fight you can win.
We'll see. So yeah, I think I'm going to bounce that Hydroid Krasis, draw another card, and now I'll Scapeshift at the end of their turn. And that should be lethal, because this Scapeshift, well, now our field, we just drew Field of the Dead. That's so bad! Oh my god. Alright, that's Nissa. Okay. Interesting. Not what I expected, for sure. This is actually going to change things a lot. Alright, this whole past turn has just... So much stuff is going on in my mind, it's so hard to try to explain what I was thinking. So I was going to Scapeshift during their turn, just at the end step of their turn after they tap out for Hydroid Krasis, but then I drew my second Field of the Dead, so the whole Scapeshift combo was going to be to grab both Fields of the Deads to get twice as many zombies. Now I don't think I can get a lethal amount of zombies, but since all they've done is played a bunch of small creatures, I can now instead Gates Ablaze at instant speed. Our Gate Colossus will be the only creature left on the battlefield. We can also use Cavalier of Thorns' Death ability to put any card from our grave back on top of our library, so like a Scapeshift or a Golos or something like that, and hopefully just go off that way. Alright. Yeah, I think I would rather just kill all their creatures then. Since they didn't want to replay Hydroid Krasis, we'll do this. And I can put Gates Ablaze just right back on there. Yeah, I like having the backup. I'm just going to put Gates Ablaze right back on top. As a backup. And we can do it at instant speed thanks to Teferi. So here's Field of the Dead. Now we can actually Scapeshift for twice as many zombies.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Gonna kill Nissa. And it's our opponent's turn.
Without me.
We have instant speed, Gates Ablaze, or Scapeshift at the ready. They keep spamming oops, I think because they thought that it's an oops to not choose Scapeshift, but I have Scapeshift in hand, and Gates Ablaze just makes it so I have a backup. We will see. Hydroid Krasis, alright. So they're tapped out, so we'll instant speed Scapeshift. That should get the concede, because they are very dead. Bam. Sacking 10. There's the good game. Oops! Oh my god, I tried to click good game and I clicked decline! Oh no! I just wanted to click an emote! I just wanted to click an emote! Oh no! Oh, why does decline go right there? Oh no. Oh my god. That is abysmal. Oh my god, we had the win. That feels so bad. I'm just trying to be a good person here. Just trying to click on Bolos' face. Oh boy. Well, never doing that again. Let's just go right here. Oh my god. Disable emotes. Bam. Holy lord.
Let us have a storied battle worth.
Oh my god. They were far beyond dead. That was 40 damage.
No tail should be discarded.
Woo! Alright, well, you know, I'm here to do the misclicks so you don't have to, so... Ooh. So yeah, this game... Pretend it was a win. So I should have had at least 2 wins in this run. But I'm now just gonna lose this game. Like, if I win this game, I'm just an actual god of magic. To come back from that. Like, that's just absurd. But there's no way. I mean, they have the Nissa back. The game is incredibly over. Ooh, wow. Alright, well... that is a poor way to end the event, but... I almost feel like that's more entertaining than if the event just went regularly. So I think I'm still going to upload this. I did have another event right before this that went pretty poorly as well, that I decided to just re-record for a more interesting video. I'm considering just dropping the video and just making a new one, but I think I'm going to roll with this one, so I think... If you're watching it right now, obviously this is the one I chose to upload. So, my bad, but now I can warn you all. If your opponent ever says, good game, while you're searching your library or something, do not try to respond. Do not respond. Turn off the emotes. It's not worth it. It's so not worth it. I had the game 100% in the bag. There was absolutely no way for them to win. Unless I attempted to respond to their emote, which they said at the exact right time. So, that's fantastic. So, that is going to end this Giant Monsters run. I think overall, I would still definitely recommend just your Gates ramp decks in this format. But I say that about like every format just because I think the decks are so fun. If you think that you would enjoy playing a deck that plays a whole bunch of lands, try it out. And the decks aren't that expensive for the old version of Gates decks. The one that I'm currently using is pretty dang expensive, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of rare lands. Hallowed Fountain, Plaza of Harmony, other shock lands, Field of the Dead. So in terms of how many wild cards you're going to have to spend, the deck I'm currently running pretty expensive. But if you look up the old versions of Gate decks back from Ravnica Allegiance, those decks are really fun, and you can run ones with very few rares or mythics. You can actually run decks without any. If you just run the old school version, that's just basically all gates and like forests as your land base, and then run 4 Gate Colossus, 4 Archway Angel, and 4 Gatebreaker Ram as your gate creatures. So, yeah, pretty fun deck. I would absolutely recommend it. I don't know why I'm not dead right now. I have 0 in the air. They have 13 damage. I guess they just want to keep chaining things off. I'm going to go ahead and scoop. I am 100% dead on board at that point. So thank you everybody for watching. Sorry for the really weird, ridiculous ending. If it's any consolation, I did not plan to do that and I didn't want to do that, so it's not like I'm trying to end things in a weird way. That was sad. That was sad. I should have been at 2 wins heading into the 3rd round to see how far we could make it, but if we're going to end things in an interesting way, that's fine as well. Let's see what's in our booster pack and see what our prize cards are. See if we get anything cool. Repeated Reverberation. Interesting card. Probably not great. And for the prize from the event, we are going to pick up 100 gold back and Golgari Raiders and Spire Mangler, 2 cards that I have not seen anyone ever cast against me in Constructed. But still, interesting nonetheless. So thank you everybody for watching. I will definitely see you again very soon for some more Magic-related content. In recent news in Magic the Gathering, if you haven't heard, they have announced the name of the next Magic set, along with a little picture. I think it's the Throne of Eldraine. And the picture is a very purple color scheme with some sparkly little fairies. So it's definitely a big change of pace, it looks like, for More of the Spark. Very different looking set. We have no idea what's going to be inside it yet, though. All we know is there's some cute little fairies. And we will know more information on that tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. I'll probably go ahead and put a video up about everything we know about the set in the next coming days. But I'm excited to see what it's going to be about, because we certainly don't know. There's also, coming up in August, the next Commander set, which I'm pretty excited about, because I am hoping... This is some tinfoil hat time, and it's probably not going to happen, but I really hope that the big reveal for the next Commander set this year that's coming out next month is that all of the Commander decks will come with a code for the same deck on Arena, and you can play Commander on Arena finally. That would be so cool. Pretty unlikely, but we'll definitely see as we get more information on that as well. So, yeah, thank you all for watching for the millionth time, and I'll see you again very soon.